Hello there everyone, NewYorkSteelo here with another video. This video is intended to show you the progress that has been going on since my last video of where I just had recently set up the sump. You can see from this video compared to the other video that the green macroalgae has grown a lot. Before I had a few strands somewhere in the back. Now it's all over. You can see a lot of life here. There's these little worms here, kind of stringing out. A lot of life in the deep sand bed. A lot more chaetomorpha. So let me just talk about the changes that I've done to the sump. You know, in this hobby, as we go on, we realize that there are better ways to run your system, and I went ahead and I did some changes. So first things first, let me take this light and put it up here on top of the skimmer so that you can have a better view. Okay, let's start out with my tank. Is a tech tank. It's one of the only 90-gallon tanks that have 2 drains and 2 returns. So it's got 4 holes. You can see the little guys here, the fishes, and so on and so forth. But back to the sump. So because it's got 4 holes, there's a lot of water movement coming into the Sump Refugium. So I've got 2 drains of, you can see the plastic flexible tubing. I actually had black tubing before, and I changed it to this flexible tubing, which 2 drains run down into this stage. Now here's another update that I did to this sump. Before, I actually had just 2 black plastic tubing kind of leaning up in here, going into a filter sock that was not attached to anything. Now a filter sock gets clogged pretty easily, so what I did was I purchased 2 of these here. What you see here is one here and the other one's back here. So these 2 things are called they're made by CPR. They're CPR inlet holders. What they do is they hold this here, which is just like an 8-inch piece of tube coming down, where the water kind of splashes into the first stage. So this foam pad is just something that I added here so that the water won't splash out, since there's a lot of splashing on the first stage. So the water comes into the first stage. In this first stage, I've got a mag drive 9.5, which is feeding the skimmer. This mag drive 9.5 is actually a little too powerful for the skimmer. Before, on the other video, I had a mag drive 7. I bought this pump because, based on the recommendations, this skimmer is run best when you have 800 gallons per hour flow coming through it unrestricted. So what I did was that hooked up the mag drive 9.5, which is the only pump that's on this stage, with the black tubing, which is actually longer than it's supposed to be, 4 feet, so that I can actually get, instead of 950 gallons per hour going into the skimmer, because it has a 4 feet of head pressure, it's only 800 gallons per hour flowing through the skimmer. So I did that change. As you can see, a lot of people were asking me questions. Why do I have this piece of glass here? This piece of glass is only intended to defer the bubbles to kind of stay on this area here. When the water enters this first stage, it enters unfiltered, some of it, into this stage. So the refugium feeds off some of the dirty water, and some of this water on this stage is being pulled and being thrown back into the refugium stage. I also did some other changes to the skimmer's output. Before, I actually had an elbow here somewhere pointing water this way. That wasn't making the skimmer very efficient. It's better if you actually have the skimmer hooked up with no plumbing in the output of the skimmer. So as time went by and this chaetomorpha here grew to this mass piece of green algae, I'm actually using this to kind of like diffuse some of the splashing that goes into the light. So water of course enters the last stage. This is another change that I did. I actually had some foam pad here, and I still do, but I have better foam pad. It's black, 2 pieces of black foam pad to prevent the bubbles from going back into the system. These 2 pieces are 14 inches long by 2 inches tall by 2 inches wide. So I've got 2 pieces of that. On top of them, I've got some chemipurine here. I highly recommend anyone that's running a saltwater system to put some chemipurine or chemipurine. Chemipurine is actually better because it removes phosphates from your tank. Okay, so the water goes down, gets the bubbles get filtered out in this area, and finally here the water enters the last stage, which brings me to another change that I did to my refugium. Before, on this last stage, I only had 2 pumps. These 2 pumps were intended to return water back into the display, as you can see. But now I have a 3rd pump on this stage, whereas before I had that 3rd pump behind this pump in the 1st stage, somewhere in the back there. But I moved that to this stage. So in this last stage I have 3 pumps. These pumps are Mag Drive 7s. 2 of them are used, the 2 in the back are used with the clear tubing. You can see the tubing here and here are for my return. So one is on this side, the other one is on this side, going back up into the 2 Ys on the main display. So this pump, which was initially on the 1st stage, I moved it to this stage because I was able to fit it in here. And another reason why I did that was because I wanted the water that is being pulled in this stage to be nothing but dirty water. I don't want, you know, I want my tank to be filtered completely. So this pump is actually hooked up to this black tubing. The black tubing comes in and around the back of the display of the stand and into the UV sterilizer. I added a UV sterilizer. The UV sterilizer is blocked here by this tree, goes into the chiller. The chiller then chills the water goes into the back of the stand, and this piece of tubing here is returning the water back into the last stage. So the 2 pumps that are used as returns are actually returning some UV sterilized water and cool water. I found that this is the best way to run this refugium / sump. I can tell you that based on the growth of the algae and everything, I was struggling with like 10 ppm nitrates before on my system. Nitrates are undetectable at this time. There is absolutely no nitrates. This green kelp algae is just growing like crazy. I got all kinds of life in this refugium. So this is the updates that I've done to it. I hope this helps you out. This sump is 30 inches long by 14 inches wide by 18 inches tall. Any suggestions, comments, concerns, questions, hit me up on YouTube. You guys know me. I'll be more than willing to answer your questions. And once again, thank you for watching and stay tuned for my next videos. Until next time, peace.